So today's webinar, we will focus on business registration requirements and annual compliance obligations, particularly for professionals such as virtual assistants, freelancers, consultants, and service providers. So these sessions aims to help you to stay compliant, avoid penalties, and better understand with your responsibilities as registered individuals or entities. So we are honored to have with our guest speaker. She is a certified public accountant and accredited practitioner recognized by the Bureau of Internal Revenue, the Board of Accountancy, and the Cooperative Development Authority. So with her extensive experience in registration and compliance matters, she will be guiding us through today's discussion. So without further ado, let us all welcome our guest speaker, Miss Clarence Alaba.
Hello, good morning everyone. Okay, so let me share my screen so we can start the webinar. So good morning everyone. Thank you for attending this webinar. So as mentioned by Ms. Pin, we will focus on the compliances for freelancers today. I will tap din naman yung other forms of businesses as we go along. So the webinar objectives for today, so number one is to understand the business registration, learn annual compliance requirements, and to avoid penalties and legal risks, and to ensure sustainable business growth. So our expected audience for today, so which means yung mga composition ng advice and yung mga relevant regulations that I will share today will cover yung mga applicable sa mga virtual assistants, social media managers, copywriters, designers, editors, developers, customer support specialists, coaches and consultants, and other roles as freelancers. If meron tayong mga financial advisor, practicing professionals like engineers, architects. So if meron kayong sole proprietor firm, applicable din ito. Itatakaw natin for today. So let's go first for our first topic. So the importance of registration. So before we go dun sa per government agency, I will share first yung mga pros of having our business or our practice registered. So, number one, we have legal recognition. Meaning to say, if we are completely registered with the proper government agencies, the existence of our business will be, hindi siya pwedeng magaya ng iba. Just for example, if we are registered in DTI, our registered name, if we have it, kung meron tayong trade name na we want it to be unique, na tayo lang yung gagamit. So if we have DTI, we have one layer of protection na itong business name na to will never be copied by other individuals or other entities. So the reason why I mentioned na first layer of protection, because meron pa tayong another layer of protection when it comes to trade name. So we have the IPO trademark. So if we really want na 100% sure worldwide na hindi tayo magagaya ng iba with our trade name, that's the time na we need to consider in applying for the IPO or trademark. So just to give yun nga yung layer of protection of copying, kasi baka meron kayong maisip na instance na I have my business registered under DTI pero pagdating ko sa ibang region meron din akong kapareho ng name. So that's why I mentioned na first layer of protection lang siya. Kasi when we register in DTI, it's not 100% na hindi ka magagaya. Lalo na kapag limited yung registration mo sa DTI at barangay level or municipal level. So next is business credibility. So if we are properly registered, meaning to say, nakakapag-add ng credibility dun sa ating practice. So what does it mean? We are able to issue service invoices. Every time the client pays for our services, makakapagbigay tayo ng primary document that they need for the expense to be recognized on their books. So, hindi lahat ng mga freelancers, if hindi sila properly registered, there will be an instance na baka hindi sila nakakapag-issue ng service invoice if the client requires. And most cases, if hindi siya makakapag-provide ng service invoice, possible na hindi mare-record ni client properly yung expense na binayad sa kanya. So that's one one of the pros and cons of having your practice registered. Number three is access to banking and contracts. So if we are properly and legally registered, we can access to different financial institutions for funding. So meaning to say, yung mga bank loans, tapos contracts with corporations, because if we are transacting with individual to individual, minsan madali lang kasi mag-uusap lang kayong dalawa, then you will agree, then pwedeng mag-materialize yung transaction without having documentation, like no registration as long as nag-agree kayong dalawa. Pero the catch is, hindi siya protected. Kumbaga, you are not bound dun sa katulad nung kapag meron kayong proper contract, meron kayo talagang susundin na guidelines dun sa transaction nyo. And lastly, I include protection of personal assets because I will discuss later on yung having the benefit kapag corporation na siya. It will apply naman since marami kaming na-encounter with our clients na nagsimula sila as a VA. And then, nung medyo na build na yung credibility nila with their boss outside the Philippines, yung kunyari foreign entity in the US, there are so many instances na yung pinaka main company outside the Philippines, they want to create the domestic presence here in the Philippines. So, I want to tackle that kasi baka meron tayong mga open opportunities for that. So, as the current VA of that specific company, you will have lots of opportunities. So it's very important for you to know yung kahit yung mga basic knowledge mo na of having the corporation. So as mentioned earlier, I will discuss yung different types of registration. So we have the sole proprietorship, partnership, corporation, freelancers, and professional. So ano yung differences nitong mga to? So when we say sole proprietorship, it means that an individual will register a business under his name. So meaning to say, he is liable to up to his personal assets, personal liabilities, because sole proprietorship siya. Ibig sabihin, for example, yung trade name niya is other than his own name. Kunyari, si Mr. A, meron siyang niregister na business, ABC Trading. So, whatever the transaction between ABC Trading dun sa mga external stakeholders, personally liable si Mr. A because it is a sole proprietorship. So, is it a good or bad thing? So, it depends. So, syempre, if you are still starting, yung parang tinitest mo muna yung market mo, it's okay naman na mag-start tayo as sole proprietor. Mas less risk since nag-i-start pa lang naman siya. Pero if you notice na may potential talaga yung business and it will parang mas marami kang opportunities na mag-grab if you convert to corporation, then that's the time you can convert to corporation. But before we go to corporation, isunod ko lang yung partnership. So, for partnership naman, we have different kinds of partnership. We have the general partnership and general professional partnership and limited partnership. So, ano naman yung difference ito sa sole proprietorship? For example, sole proprietorship, you decided to have partners. So, you will establish a partnership, pero you can indicate kung sino yung limited and general partner. Ano ibig sabihin nun? From the word itself, when you say limited partner, limited lang din yung liability niya. So, up to his or her contributions din sa partnership. But for general partnership or general partner, it means na liable up to personal assets yung partner. So, the other one that I mentioned, which I think applicable sa audience, is general professional partnership. So, if we have a team of professionals and we decided to create a firm, so it will be called general professional partnership. Ano yung advantage nun? So, when it comes to taxes, so no withholding taxes for general professional partnership. And please take note na ang dapat na partner sa general professional partnership are all licensed professional. So, yun yung iti-take note natin. So, kunyari, may mga architects or engineers, pare-pareho silang architects, so they can create their firm. So, accountants and lawyers, so, dyan nag-a-apply yung partnership. Most common. Hindi ko siya masyadong nire-recommend for example, general partnership, limited partnership, pagdating sa, pag hindi professionals. Because parang for me lang naman, or my point of view, mas okay yung corporation. Kasi mas maganda yung structure niya. So for corporation is that you will have stockholders. Ang pinaka pwede nating take away for corporation is that up to the corporation lang yung mga obligations natin. Like up to corporate assets lang, corporate liabilities. It will not cross the line na pati yung personal assets natin ay madadamay with the business transactions. So, yun yung pinaka-advantage if we're going to decide na yung corporation yung structure na pipiliin natin. And lastly, for freelancers and professionals, as mentioned earlier, if you are a practicing professional, you can be registered in the BIR. Just you will just need your PRC card since licensed professional nga siya. And make sure to have your PTR paid every year. Yun yung pinaka-catch kasi dun sa mga practicing professionals. So, most common question kasi na natatanong natin, sino ba yung dapat nagpi-PTR? So, if you are practicing professionals, make sure to pay your PTR every January. So, wag na natin antayin yung deadline. Pagdating ng January, pay your PTR. For freelancers naman, medyo connected siya dun sa sole proprietor. Kasi, if freelancers, you need to have DTI. So, pag DTI kasi, you need to think of your trade name o kaya naman, pwede mo rin namang gamitin yung name mo mismo. So, usually kasi, when we say registered ka sa DTI, nakaklassify siya agad as sole proprietor. So, tama din naman yung term na yon. Kasi baka meron tayong mga naririnig na mga speakers na pinag-intertwine yung terminologies. Kaya siya minsan napagpapalit kasi if you are a freelancer nga, then you have a registered DTI, nakaklassify ka as sole proprietor na ang pinoprovide mo ay service. Whatever it is that we discussed today, yung all applicable rules as of December 11, 2025. Para meron tayong disclaimer. Kasi syempre, if there are updates na i-release ni BIR or ni DTI and other LGU, syempre hindi natin mako-cover ngayon if meron pa silang mga future updates. Kasi as we know, lagi namang nagbibigay ng mga updates of rulings ang ating mga government agency. So whatever it is that we will discuss today or what I will share with you today, applicable as of December 11, 2025. Ayan, para may disclaimer tayo. So for key government agencies, as mentioned, we have DTI. So for DTI, this cater yung sa sole proprietor, yung kanina ding nating slides. So DTI, sole proprietor, freelancers if you will have your own trade name. For SEC, dito naman, if we're going to register partnership and corporation. So yun, if you want to register partnership, sa corporation guys, meron tayo ngayong regular and OPC. So medyo maraming curious din sa OPC and regular corporation. We will have a separate webinar for that. If you want to, that will be our next topic, yung comparison ng OPC and regular corporation. And third government agency, BIR. So regardless whether you are sole prop, freelance, professional, partnership, corporation, you need to be registered in BIR. Take note lang na once you are registered with DTI and SEC, yung registration date nyo, please take note of that. And dapat within 30 days, nakapag-register na tayo sa BIR. And take note lang din na before, it is a requirement na dapat registered ka muna sa LGU before you go to BIR. But it was already waived. So what does it mean? Once you are registered with DTI and SEC, you can directly register with BIR na. But it doesn't mean na hindi ka na magre-register sa LGU. If your structure or your business structure requires you to have a business registration in LGU, you can do it simultaneously with BIR or after BIR. So, take note of that. Kasi yung iba, nakalimutan na yung LGU. Akala nila, pag BIR, tapos na. So, what are the instances na bakit mo kailangan ng LGU? When we say LGU, yun yung City Hall or Business Permit. Pinagpapalit din yung terminologies na yon, pero pareho lang yon. City Hall Permit or Business Permit, Municipality Permit. So, ano yung importance nun? Sometimes, yung ibang banks, 'di ba, minsan nag-open tayo ng bank account for business purposes. There are banks na they are strictly requiring that if you are going to register or if you are going to open an account for business purposes, they're very strict na they require the account holder to submit business permit. So there are instances if meron naman ng existing bank account si account holder, tapos hindi naman niya na-declare na for business purposes, yun yung instances na baka hindi siya hinanapan ng business permit. Kasi pwede kasing may mag-raise sa atin na, bakit yung si ganito, tagal-tagal niya nang ginagamit yung account niya, tapos wala naman siyang business permit. So, baka naman hindi naka-declare sa bank na business account siya. So, yun lang naman yung pwedeng distinction doon. Pero once declared as business account siya sa bank, hihingan niya ng business permit. And then, I also included na din yung SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig. So, bakit? These 3 government mandatory agencies, dapat talaga naka-register tayo dito. If we are a sole prop or freelancers, I think pwede naman tayong mag-self-declare yung sarili natin yung i-declare natin as employee, especially for sole prop. Kasi there are instances din na meron mga clients na lumalapit sa amin na napapadalan sila ng letter because registered pala sila sa DTI, then registered din sila sa municipality. However, hindi na nila tinuloy yung SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig kasi hindi naman daw sila magkakaltas. Tapos sole prop lang sila, wala daw sila employee. So, there are rare instances, rare lang naman yun, na makaka-receive siya ng letter na dino-notify siya ni SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig na hindi siya naka-register. So, ano yung pwede natin gawin para maiwasan yung ganong instances? And ano ba yung magiging benefit sa inyo if you will opt to register with SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig? So, if we are sole prop, i-declare mo yung sarili mo as the employee of the company. So, meron ka talagang employer share din na isa-shoulder and employee share. Ang benefit na lang doon is that we will look at it in a way na since you have SSS, you can be eligible for the benefits of SSS like in the retirement, maternity, and there are some calamities, salary loans, all types of loans with SSS. Ma-avail niyo siya once you are registered. For PhilHealth naman, same point of view. You will reap the benefits of PhilHealth if maka-hospitalize, a portion of the bill will be covered, and then yung mga recent PhilHealth benefits na ini-introduce ngayon ng government, we have free medicine, something like that. So, yun yung benefit niya. And lastly, this one, highly recommended for Pag-ibig. So, as we all know, yung Pag-ibig naman, ito yung pinaka-minimal contribution. Although siya yung pinaka-minimal contribution, but for me, as personal recommendation, siya rin naman yung may pinaka-big impact and most stable one. Bakit? Because all the contributions na ibibigay mo kay Pag-ibig, lahat ng contribution na ibibigay mo sa kanya, your retirement age, you will get it back with dividends. So, yun yung ni Pag-ibig. Yan yung pinaka-pros niya. Unlike din sa SSS, hindi naman natin pwedeng impose yun na kung magkano yung nahulog mo, yun din yung makukuha mo in a lump sum. So, it really depends. So, yun yung benefits niya for sole prop. Ang difference lang niya between a freelancer, si freelancer kasi, pwede ang application niya with these 3 government agencies is as self-employed. So, yun yung difference niya. Kunyari, may practicing professional tayo na siya lang yung practice of profession. Yun na yung focus niya. So, pwede ka mag-self-employed. If wala kang employer, pwede ka mag-declare as self-employed sa SSS PhilHealth Pag-ibig. Freelance, kunyari, BA tayo, hindi naman naka-declare as sole prop. So, yun. Ang gagawin natin, pwede ka ring self-employed for PhilHealth, SSS, and Pag-ibig. Ano yung pros, ano yung cons kapag hindi natin siya ginawa? So, as mentioned earlier, very rare circumstance, pero it's not impossible to happen na if you are registered with DTI and LGU and BIR, tapos wala tayong SSS PhilHealth and Pag-ibig, there might be a possibility na they will give a letter. Yung letter naman na yun, emphasize lang din natin, hindi naman siya dapat katakutan. Kasi if ever na makaka-receive tayo ng mga letters from government agencies, most of the time, first letter na ma-receive natin is just a reminder. So, if makaka-receive tayo ng letter, basahin agad. Tingnan na lang yung mga days, yung prescription. Kunyari, nilagay doon, you must be registered within number of days. So, yun. Susundin mo lang siya. So, it will just serve a warning. So, just don't ignore. Make sure na if you receive letters from government agencies, you read and don't ignore. Hindi siya yung kasi medyo matagal yung turnover niya eh. Kunyari, nagpadala ng letter sa'yo today, tapos parang naisip mo, hindi na yun magka-follow up. Magka-follow up yan. Possible, 6 after 6 months, after 3 months, after 8 months. Pero impossible na hindi siya magka-follow up. And iwasan natin na pag yung next na letter na marireceive natin is non-compliant. Ibig sabihin, naka-receive na nga tayo ng warning, ni-remind na nga tayo ng dapat gawin, tapos din pa natin ginawa. So, we expect, syempre, pag gano'n na, it will have corresponding penalties. So, ang advice ko, once you receive letter, read and don't ignore. Okay. So, for annual compliance requirements, so, kunwari, registered na tayo, fully registered na tayo dun sa lahat. So, ano na yung next? So, once you are registered, make sure to take note na monitor natin itong mga annual compliance requirements. So, number 1, we have the business permit renewal if you have business permit. And again, for professionals, PTR. Don't forget, okay? PTR. Annual income tax return. Annual income tax return, usually April talaga yung deadline. April 15. Pero kung kaya naman na i-prepare na natin ng January, February para ma-tick off na siya dun sa task, sa list ng task natin for compliances, di gawin na natin siya ng mas maaga. So you don't need to wait for April 15 to comply with the annual income tax return. As early as January, kailangan mo na siyang i-file. Ano yung pwede mong isa-side comment ko lang since ito naman yung mostly na dinedemand or in demand sa mga clients. Usually, kapag mag-a-apply na sila ng mga visa, kasi magta-travel sila. So, gusto nila merong attachment ng annual income tax return. So, that's why I highly encourage na agahan na natin yung pag-accomplish nito. So, wag na natin tayo yung April. Kasi minsan yung mga clients, they want na gagamitin nila siya as part of visa application for loans. So, pwede na. Pwede na tayong maggawa ng annual income tax return by January, February, March. So, deadline is April 15. So, next, the withholding tax reports. So, for withholding tax reports, meron tayong mga deadlines for January and April as well. So, ano yung marirecommend ko sa inyo dito? If you don't have the time to monitor these compliances. So I suggest that you hire someone or to have a service provider para sila na yung mag-monitor nito for you. And lastly, for financial statements. So magkakadugtong po ito. You cannot prepare an accurate annual income tax return if hindi pa tapos yung financial statements mo. So we need to accomplish the financial statement first bago natin ma-fill upan ng tama yung annual income tax return. So my suggestion is that if you don't have the time to monitor these compliances and at the same time to prepare, because of course it's another set of skills that you need to accomplish these things. So either you have service provider for you to cater for this compliances. So, what are the common compliance mistakes? Number 1, late filing. Keep in mind, guys, na si BIR, meron siyang mga specific deadlines for each type of tax return. Lagi naman tong nakapost sa kanilang website and Facebook page. Every day, they post kung ano yung deadline for this specific date. So, ano ba yung corresponding cons if magle-late filing tayo? So, syempre, meron na tayong late payment. Okay? So, kung zero filing yan, tas late filing ka, may 1,000 agad na penalty yon. So, ano yung kailangan bantayan? Make sure na lang natin we know the deadline. So, most of the tax returns naman na ay naka-quarterly, except for withholding taxes. So, if you are VAT or non-VAT, quarterly ka naman na. Quarterly mo na lang i-monitor. Pero if meron kang withholding taxes, like meron kang pinapasahod or meron kang mga expenses na subject to withholding tax, like rent, monthly. So, meron kang ipa-file monthly. Hindi siya pwedeng i-negotiate na kunyari 10 yung deadline. Uy, final ko naman ng 11, okay na yan kasi one day lang naman siya na late. Hindi pwede yon. Kasi automatic, yung system ni BIR, if hindi mo siya na-file nung pinaka last day ng deadline niya, kahit isang araw or kunyari hours, ito para medyo OA. Kunyari 12 o'clock ng 10th of the month, final mo 1 a.m. Uy, 1 hour lang, pwede na yan. Hindi pa din. So, yung late filing na yon, may 25% surcharge ka. So, para maiwasan na lang yon is make sure na lang natin na on time or we file in advance. So, i-ano ko lang para malinaw. Yung minention ko kanina na 1,000 na fee for late filing is kapag zero tax due ka. But if you have tax due computed dun sa tax return na yon, for example, ang tax due mo 5,000. Kapag na late filing ka, so, plus 25% agad nung 5,000 na yun. So, malaki yung impact niya. So, I highly suggest monitor the deadlines of the tax returns and file it in advance. Gusto ko na rin palang itakel. Baka kasi meron na tayong mga experiences na we are confident na pina-file nung ating bookkeeper yung ating tax returns. Tapos, nagpa-tax clearance ka on your own. O kaya naman, you have other person na nagpa-tax clearance ka. And then, merong open cases. So, I highly suggest na yung mga naka-experience ito, sa open cases, don't panic agad. Kasi, yung BIR system, it's not perfect. So, ano yung kailangan gawin? So, if meron tayong sinabi sa atin ng bookkeeper natin na marami kang open cases, ma'am. Ang gagawin lang doon, yung mga open cases na yon, i-retrieve lang nila yung mga na-file nila at yung proof of filing nila, yung validation, kung na-file nila on time. So, pag na-provide nila lahat yon, makiklear yung open cases na yon. So, usual yung nangyayari. Common. Common siya nangyayari. So, yung iba, pag narinig nila na, ba't ang dami kong open cases? Hindi ba ako pina-filean? Hindi. Possible na hindi lang na-capture ni BIR system yung mga na-file sa'yo. So, make sure na tinatago mo rin yung mga pina-file sa'yo ni accountant or ni bookkeeper mo, including the validations. Validations, ibig sabihin, andun yung date kung kailan niya na-file. Kasi dun ibibase kung na-late ka ba or hindi. Kasi nga, as mentioned, kung mababalidate na late ka, di makakomputan ka ng surcharge. So, I hope clear yung late filing. Next, for books of accounts, ito common din to na nawawala o kaya hindi na-fill upan. So, ang standard registration kasi dito sa atin, sa Philippines, once we are registered with BIR, kailangan natin mag-registered ng physical book of accounts, books of account. Yun yung common na ginagawa. So, nawawala minsan sa isip ng mga nagpo-process na optional naman siya. Optional. Bakit? Kasi we have loose leaf. So, hindi automatic na, ano ba yan? Bibili pa ako ng mga journal ledger, tas mag-handwritten pa siya ng pag-record ng libro. Optional na lang yun ngayon. So, meron kasi tayong loose leaf. So, when we register to loose leaf, we can use our Excel. Yung mga Excel recordings ng bookkeeper natin, yun na yung books of account. So, marami pa tayong nakikita sa mga posts, na especially yung mga nag-advertise. Marami pa kami nakikita na puro books of accounts, ang daming mga libro na physical books ang ine-encourage or pinapa-register sa client. So, andito na tayo sa digital era. So, doon na tayo sa mas less yung mga ganong bagay. So, we can maximize the loose leaf application. Ano yung loose leaf application? Excel yung gagamitin for recording. So, every time na merong mag-i-inspect na taga-BIR, for example, meron kang physical store o kaya naman na-tsempuhan ka na i-audit ka ni BIR, i-check niya yung books of accounts mo. If you are registered under loose leaf, you will just show your certificate. Meron kasing certificate na binibigay na permit to use loose leaf. So, para maiwasan na natin yung bubuklatin pa ni BIR yung actual book. Lumang-luma na yun, pero hopefully, with the new batch of entrepreneurs and freelancers and mga business owners, we push to digitalization. So, yun. One option yung loose leaf. Hindi ko lang masyado pa in-encourage yung another option, yung CAS, because for our experience, sobrang tagal kasi ng accreditation. The CAS naman is computerized accounting system. Ang ibig sabihin naman nun, you will let BIR accredit yung current accounting system na ginagamit mo. So, we are exploring that part. Sinashare lang muna namin yung timeline. Pero as of now, yung loose leaf, yung marirecommend ko because yun, madali naman siyang i-apply, and at the same time, you will get rid dun sa mga books of account na manual susulatan. So, I hope ma-take away natin yun. Next is unregistered business. So, katulad nung iba naming na-encounter, matagal na siyang may DTI, o kaya naman matagal na siyang may SEC. Then, nakikipag-transact siya. Yung katransact niya na business, hindi naman nag-due diligence. Parang kinuha lang yung DTI niya or SEC niya, tapos nirecord, na siya, katransact na siya. And meron din siyang TIN. So, possible kasi yon na meron ka ng TIN. Dahil hindi naman necessary na kailangan may business ka para makakuha ng TIN. Because there are instances na pwede ka naman kumuha ng TIN on your own. Kunyari, mag-a-apply ka ng driver's license. O kaya naman, pag sa SEC ka nag-register, minsan automatic may generated TIN na siya. So, if ganito yung magiging instance, so may na-encounter kaming ganito before, nag-register siya sa SEC or DTI, and then nakapag-transact na siya dun sa other company. So, may TIN siyang provided kasi pwedeng generated ng SEC o kaya naman nakuha niya na before yung TIN niya. So, all along, yung company nire-record yung binabayad sa kanya under ng TIN niya, and then natsyempuhan siya. Natsyempuhan siya na ma-audit na bakit may nare-receive na income to, pero wala naman siyang BIR registration. So, possible na mangyari yun. So, ano mangyayari? So, si BIR, pwede siya magpadala ng letter doon sa unregistered business na yon. So, ano yung dapat nating i-monitor dito? As mentioned earlier, once registered ka na kay DTI or SEC, within 30 days, make sure meron ka ng BIR certificate. BIR certificate as proof of your registration. And if you have the BIR certificate na as proof of your registration, doon mo rin naman makikita lahat ng mga kailangan mo i-comply. So, ganun na yung itsura ng COR natin ngayon. Hindi katulad before. Medyo nag-improve naman siya. So, ang COR natin ngayon, very detailed na siya. Andun lahat yung mga dapat nating i-comply with the deadlines and frequency. And next, no service invoice. Ito nga yung na-mention ko earlier na pag kunyari tao sa tao lang kayo nag-transact. So, most probably, hindi na siya magre-require ng service invoice. So, ano naman yung effect nun sa atin? Once you are registered business na, tapos you did not issue service invoice, so, syempre, hindi mo siya ma-recognize as income in your financial statements or income tax return. Make sure na whatever it is na yung mga amount na i-recognize natin as our income is properly documented. So, kung gusto natin ng magandang financial statement, kasi doon naman nagre-rely yung mga banks, di ba? Kunyari, maglo-loan tayo kay bank, titignan niya yung financial statement or ITR. If maganda, meaning to say, makikita niyang kumikita ka, so, malaki yung chance mo na ma-approve ka. So, ano yung connect niya doon sa service invoice? Make sure na whatever it is that you declare na income mo is supported by service invoice. Kasi ang service invoice is the primary document as proof na meron ka talagang income. Nilimit ko lang yung terminologies kasi ang expected audience ko nga is more on services. Pero yung service invoice, yan din yung sales invoice. Yung sales invoice naman, applicable yon sa mga merchandising or trading. So, since this webinar is focused on services, that's why I use the term service invoice. So, pwede rin may question sa isip nyo, ma'am, wala ng OR, wala ng official receipts, mahirap man tanggalin sa ating vocabulary, pero wala na kasi siya. Tinanggal na, di ba? Wala na yung official receipt na term. So, sanayin na natin yung mga sarili natin na service invoice, since service yung pinoprovide natin. Again, take note, service invoice is your primary source document as proof na you have income. So, ipunin mo lahat ng service invoice mo, magkano yung binayad sa'yo, yun yung i-declare mo sa income tax return and your financial statements. Just want to give an example lang para kunyari sa mga audience natin na VA. Most of the time, yung katransact nyo is nasa abroad. So, paano nyo yun gagawin? 'Di ba? So, kung yung katransact nyo is nasa abroad, sa service invoice nyo, hindi lang kayo makapaglagay ng TIN. Pero malalagay mo pa rin naman yung name ng client and yung amount. So, para ma-recognize mo pa rin siya as income dito sa Philippines. So, matataksan ba siya? Yes. Depende dun sa type ng registration na ginawa mo. Kasi may dalawang may dalawang classification. Possible na nagpa-register ka as VAT or non-VAT. So, most of the time naman, if mag-start pa lang, naka-non-VAT pa lang siya. So, 3% yung tax note. So, penalties and consequences, for mention ko na siya earlier, yung surcharge. Alam na natin when we late file, so we have surcharge. For interest naman, it is computed against the number of days outstanding. Itong penalties and consequences na din-discuss ko dito, this only pertains to BIR muna. BIR. So for BIR, we have automatic surcharge, 25%. Take note of that. And interest, which is 20%. Pero, hindi naman siya automatic na 20% agad. Kasi kung consider mo yung number of days, kung kailan siya dapat nabayaran, tapos kailan mo lang siya nabayaran. So, kunyari, 3 days late ka lang. So, yung interest mo, 20%, pero times 3 divided by 360. So, hindi naman siya 20% outright. And other compromise penalties. Actually, masakit sa mata tong mga to eh. Goal natin na hindi na to danasin, na wag natin tong ma-experience. Kasi, pwede naman. We just need to be diligent enough to monitor our compliances. Kasi ang laki ng impact niya. Imagine, magbabayad ka na talaga ng due, tapos magka-plus 25% ka pa, 20% pa, and pag minalas pa, maglalagay pa ng compromise penalties pa si BIR. So, wag na, 'di ba? Doon na lang tayo sa i-monitor na lang natin na ma-file natin on time and mabayaran on time. Ini-emphasize ko pay and file on time. Kasi yung iba ang akala nila basta na i-file, okay na. Tapos babayaran na lang later on. Mali, hindi yan pwede. File and pay dun sa date ng deadline. Okay? File and pay. Hindi siya file now, pay later. Wala pong ganon. Okay? So, anong nangyari dun sa mga ganong, may mga ganong thinking? Di nakomputan sila ng surcharge and interest. Kasi yung payment, kahit nasabihin mo, hindi nag-file naman ako nung deadline, binayaran ko lang after 5 days. O edi meron ka pa ring surcharge and interest. So, make sure file and pay dun sa day ng deadline. So, yun. How can we help? How can we help you for this compliances? So we handle business registration, our company. We also offer tax compliances and business advisory and continuous support. So, ayan, yun yung magiging benefit natin if you outsource these things to our company. We will assist in business registration, tax compliances, as mentioned earlier, yung burden ng pag-monitor, it will be passed through to us. And then business advisory, our team, you can call us anytime within office hours, of course, para ma-address yung mga concerns and continuous support. Since continuing development and continuous na naglalabas ng rules ang mga government agencies. What is applicable today might not be applicable next year. 'Di ba? So, how can you sustain na updated tayo sa lahat ng rulings? So, make sure na yon continuous learning din tayo on your part. You attend update webinars with updates na related dun sa inyong concerns.
If you would like to hear your thoughts about this webinar, please feel free to suggest any topics you would like us to cover in the future sessions. So don't forget to like and follow our Facebook and Instagram pages and join our public group for updates and webinar recordings. So sa mga hindi nakaabot from the start of this webinar, mapapanood niyo po siya or we will post this on our private groups. So if you have questions, feel free to reach out through our pages or via our contact details. So thank you for being with us today as we close the year and welcome the next. We wish you continued growth, success, and good health. So have a great day, everyone. Stay safe and happy holiday.